Well, off the back of yesterday's episode of Rookie to Audio, I made my way through the majority of December, and somehow off the back of beating Barnsley in the Pizza Cup, our form has turned to complete poop. Fingers crossed day it doesn't continue that way, because we take on the top two teams in the league, in Salford as well as Crewe Alexandra either side of a Pizza Cup tie against the Chesterfield team that knocked us out of the FA Cup. This could be a bad episode. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 32 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Buxton FC. I hope you're doing well. And coming up today, we take on first and second in League 2 as we currently are just clinging on to a playoff promotion spot. We take on Salford City away and then Crewe Alexandra at home. To be fair, Salford City by far the best team in this division so far, a 9-point gap over Crewe Alexandra, but unfortunately off the back of that last episode where we did take on both Northampton in League 2 as well as Chesterfield in that second round of the FA Cup. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Hasn't been that great. We really should be a lot closer to one of those automatic promotion spots considering the teams that we have been playing, but you'll see there our month of December, it's not been awful, but it's not been great either. 3 losses off the back of somehow getting past Barnsley on penalties in that EFL Trophy, the Pizza Cup there. We got there an equaliser in the second half through Zayn Mohammed. It went to penalties, and thankfully we somehow found a way there to get the job done yet again with a full rotation. Of course, Barnsley, a lot higher up League 1 than Chesterfield was. Not too sure how that's worked out these days. In fact, they're all the way up in third. Their form's actually improved off the back of that defeat. We did hand them there in the Pizza Cup. To be fair, just like us, they could have been taking that game a little bit lightly with the players that they did put out for that one, but it does mean we've made our way through to the final section of the North before we get to the quarterfinals of the competition overall. But we've got that Chesterfield team we lost to relatively comfortably 2-0 in the FA Cup yesterday. To be fair though, this time it is at home, so hopefully might find a way yet again, probably with our full rotation, just because they've been doing such a good job for us in that competition. No reason to change that yet. That could be quite interesting, especially off the back of them getting Manchester United away in the third round of the FA Cup. Of course, that could have been us, and that would have been quite a nice payday, even though they probably would have absolutely spanked us, but a bit dirty that they got that tie there in that round, considering that could have been us, and that would have been really good for the club finances. But Chesterfield, going to be the game that I play off camera today. Let's hope we can somehow find a way to continue there in the Pizza Cup. But off the back of that Barnsley win, then we lost to Hartlepool here 4-2. Just a pretty average performance this one, even though we were at home. A late own goal there through Jed Gunner, and that was off the back of going down 2-0 in the first half. We got it back to 3-2 late on in this game, but that Jed Gunner own goal just put it to bed, and unfortunately did lose there at home for the first time in quite a while in League 2, and backed it up with a 2-0 loss to Leyton Orient away from home. So that one not quite so bad, but those teams are mid-table but not doing super well, so a bit disappointed with how we did it in those games off the back of that Barnsley one, especially that Hartlepool one, considering our entire first team did get a good rest off the back of the FA Cup defeat. So a little bit annoyed that we didn't front there in front of our home fans during the course of that Leyton Orient game. Did actually start to try with our tactic, turning on one of the position instructions to stop crosses, because unfortunately we continue to concede a lot of goal from balls being put at the far post in particular, mostly from crosses, but also from set pieces. So I'm trying to find a way to sort that out. It kind of worked as we beat Shrewsbury away there 1-0 thanks to an early goal through Eddie and Manning. Then we took on Grimsby Town though at home. Now this is a team we beat in the group stages of the Pizza Cup. They're really struggling this season, down in 20th, but we got ourselves here into all sorts of trouble. In the end we actually had to go to the 4-1 late on, and thankfully it paid off there with late goals to Harry Leeson as well as Charlie Pavey to make sure that we picked up a 2-2 draw. But again, pretty scratchy there in front of our home fans, despite the fact that we did have to rotate a little bit for that game. Still, given the Pizza Cup earlier this season, let's just find that result there. We beat them 3-1. Pretty disappointed that we only got a point from that game, albeit being 2-0 down at the 85-minute mark. Can't be too disappointed grabbing something out of that game. Then we took on Barrow, just enough to beat them there 1-0, so that was good. But then we got FM'd to holy high water by Stevenage, a 1-0 defeat there thanks to a goal there to Tyree Simpson and the 83rd minute. Here are the stats from this game. Just the worst if-effing I've seen in this save for a very, very long time. Complete dominance, but somehow we did not score a goal, and they did, and we get beaten there by the team, who at that stage were rock bottom of the league. So our form off the back of yesterday's episode, or the last episode it might be this week, considering it's the funny one off the back of Easter, and with Anzac Day down here, it hasn't been that great. Capped off with a 1-1 draw against Swindon Town. Another game we were all over them. Unfortunately, conceded first there with 10 minutes going. It looked like it might be a similar case for that Stevenage result, but thankfully from the restart, Eddie Manning did grab us an equaliser. So our form has not been that great, but thankfully just found a way here with this Buxton team to stay inside of one of those playoff promotion positions. But we really, with the points that we've been dropping against teams that we should have been taking them off, could be a lot closer to Fleetwood Town and Crewe in one of those automatic promotion spots behind Salford City, who already do look quite safe there as a team who should be going up to League 1 for next season. So a bit disappointing off the back of that last episode, but fingers crossed today we can somehow find a way to get ourselves back on track here, but it's going to be hard, especially because first up, we take on that Salford City team, the runaway leaders here in League 2 to be fair. We took them on at home earlier this season, but it was a pretty boring 0-0 draw, so we'll see here what we can do away from home. They come into this one off the back of being knocked out of the Pizza Cup by Notts County. Those guys, I believe, up in League 1, only doing a fair job, so maybe their form might deteriorate off the back of that. They've also got Liverpool coming up too in the FA Cup, so a couple of big games coming up here for the top team in League 2, but before then, they were doing quite well with wins over Grimsby, Leyton Orient, as well as Cheltenham Town. They're definitely the best team in this division so far this season. We'll see what we can do against these guys. Unfortunately, we've still got injuries, albeit not quite as bad as it was for that last episode. Jaden Sweeney finally is available to play some football, albeit still is on a 45-minute restriction. Fingers crossed this time he won't get injured, making his way back to being able to play a full 90 minutes with our club captain. Also, Zach Henry, our third choice striker, out for 1 to 4 days with a pulled calf muscle. That injury was a bit more long-term, and to be fair, wouldn't be too bad if we had him currently, because our strikers at the moment are in some pretty rubbish form. Jed Garner actually going to start this first game in today's episode, only with the 3 goals so far this season. He hasn't been that great on a 6.62, but Alice Lahane in his last couple of games, not good either, on a 6.36. For our strikers are out of form. That might be the reason that we have been struggling in the last month or so here of this save, but fingers crossed we can find a way to take something off the Salford City team. But to be fair, my hopes aren't high, and if we don't, if Bristol can beat Gillingham, as you'd imagine they would, even though that one is away from home for them, we might be here slipping outside of one of those playoff promotion spots. And also another couple of players in our team here are on a heavy workload, quite tired, so a fair bit of rotation for this game. Abdul Salam there at right back. To be fair, on recent form, we're actually starting him just regularly over Pinyon. That's one of the reasons I've been getting so annoyed at the headed goals we've been conceding. Pinyon just can't jump Abdul Salam a bit better in the ear. So for the rest of the season, he might actually keep that first choice spot there at right back. Also Leeson in there alongside Hewlett at centre back. Obviously Jake Leake there at left back with that injury still to Jaden Sweeney. And that minute restriction, Salford here are going with the exact same formation, a 4-3-3. So a battle here of the 4-3-3s as we take on the best team in the league. Also Mohammed there in defensive midfield. And up front, it's Colville at right wing, Lewis Jones at left wing, as well as Jed Garner up front. So a fair few changes for a game against the best team in the league, which is not ideal, but we'll see how we do here with a team that's not on heavy workload. Usually you get repaid pretty well when you do that in Football Manager. Let's see if we get it here, even though this is probably a game, if we do lose, we won't take it too harshly, unlike some of those games I've played off camera off the back of that last episode, because that run of form was a little bit random and a bit annoying. Some of the goals with those crosses, I'm kind of just learning to take them now, especially if we have the likes of Pinion as well as Voken's playing in the games. A lovely ball over the top there for Jed Garner, who finally scores a goal. He puts that one away on the volley past Grimshaw there, and we take a relatively early 1-0 lead with the first highlight of this game. Jim Hewlett there gets the ball from the free kick taken by Leeson, and Garner there somehow gets in behind the defence and puts that one past Grimshaw on the bounce. We take a 1-0 lead just past the 20-minute mark. Thankfully, he just does enough there to stay on side. So that has come a little bit out of nowhere. G. Garner with only his 4th goal of the season in League 2. So fingers crossed that maybe he might start to find some form now off the back of the poor run of form that both him and Lahane have been in of late. But so far in this game, we are doing quite well, albeit Woodburn here with a corner, the former Liverpool starlet. Thankfully, they're not doing too much so far, but do keep the ball here on the edge of the box, and Ogilvy will somehow beat Kesper there. I actually thought we were marking that quite well, but Kesper probably should do better from that angle, and it's 1-1 with 10 minutes left here in the first half. As I said, thought we're actually defending that one quite nicely, but Ogilvy with a slight curving effort there to sneak that one inside the right-hand upright to equalise things. So unfortunately, despite the fact that so far here we've been doing quite well, it looks like it might be locked up here going into half-time. Lewis Jones struggling a little bit on a 6.5, and now a chance for them from set piece, never good with our aerial defence, but thankfully Ogilvy, I think that was, puts that one just wide, looking there for a double. It's still 1-1, so a pretty good first half from us there until it got late, and then we looked a little bit shaky off back of conceding that equaliser. A couple of players out there on 6.4s, but we might just see if they can improve going into the second half, because the bench options, they're not as good. Let's give here both Jones as well as Mohammed a bit of time, try and get those ratings up, because actually not too disappointed with the majority of that first half, as now Jim Hewlett picks up a yellow card, so now probably can actually make a sub here at this stage of the game. Lewis Jones actually gets bumped up there somehow to a 6.7, so I think here it's Thomas Williams or Hewlett. Will put Leeson on the left-hand side at centre-back, and also Hayden Lindley on the bench for this one, because Dewuna is on a heavy workload. Actually, currently hasn't had enough minutes to get a work permit for next year. He might have to keep himself on that ESC slot, which is a bit of a concern, but he's on heavy workload. That's why Lindley has come on in this game. But from a corner, Colville is back on the attack. That one from a pretty much identical angle to where they scored their goal in the first half, comes off the post and hits the back of Grimshaw, and it goes into the back of the net. That might be the luck that we need off the back of the games I've been playing since yesterday's episode, because it has felt a bit unlucky. That's definitely a bit of good luck, potentially some justice there for the goal that we did concede from that same spot in the first half. As I said, a little bit harsh there that Kesper did get beaten from that angle, but thankfully we've found our way back in front, even though we've just had one shot on target in this game. So maybe today we're going to do some FMing here of Salford City, unlike what's happened to us in the last couple of games that I have played. A nice praise there as well. It cuts off a highlight. Now Jake Lee picks up a yellow card, not doing too badly on a 6.7, but it does mean that Jaden Sweeney can come on here and build up that fitness. Also, let's maybe try here Caden Kelly for Lewis Jones at left wing, just debating if he or Charlie Pavey might be a little bit better. But we also probably want to take off here Eddie Manning on a 6.5, and Caden Kelly we might put there in that central midfield role, while Charlie Pavey can go left wing. So a couple of changes there as we make our way to the final 15 minutes of this game, but we currently hold on to this 2-1 lead. So as we make our way into late stages of this game, time for us here to start the time waste ever so slightly, because this would be a massive 3 points, especially off the back of that rough December that we have had. Let's see now we can hold on going in the final 5 minutes as we time waste even more. 3 points here would be oh so useful as we sit on the verge of dropping out of that playoff promotion picture. This would be a very good win, especially away from home against the Salford City team, who by far have looked the best team in League 2 so far this season with that 9-point gap. It might not be any more because we've beaten them 2-1. So thankfully, we pick up a result there. G. Gunner comes in and makes a difference with the goal, and Colville kind of at a hand in that second one. His shot came off the woodwork, hit the back of the goalkeeper to make it an own goal off the back of that equaliser that Ogilvy scored pretty much from the same spot there in the first half. That is a big 2-1 win away from home. So hopefully that's a sign now that our form will improve yet again. Hopefully now we can go away and beat Chesterfield in the Pizza Cup. But that is a big result, which will make sure we keep ourselves inside of one of those playoff promotion spots as we beat the league leaders 2-1 away from home. And before we get stuck into the Crewe Alexandra game, there's been a bit of stuff happening in between the games in today's episode, but here's the highlights from the Pizza Cup. Got off to a really good start in this game, but unfortunately poor giveaway there from Ben Midgley did mean that Chesterfield could open the scoring, but thankfully only a few minutes later on Alexandra got the start in this game, and thankfully has found some goal scoring form as well there. He equalises there quite early on. That was the scoreline going in to the second half, where unfortunately Sven Pawson, just like yesterday, popped up with a goal to make it 2-1. But again, we found a way here to grab an equaliser. About 20 minutes later, Hane there beats the goalkeeper at the near post. So 2-2 going into the final 25 or so minutes of this game, where unfortunately Foster here with a big deflected shot to give Chesterfield a late lead. And then, as we were trying to take lead on this game with the 4-1, they somehow keep the ball there despite us putting a lot of pressure on Orit, and he puts it away, and yet again we get knocked out of a cup competition by Chesterfield this season. So unfortunately we are now out of the Pizza Cup in the third round of the northern section, the last round in our regions, before we would have made our way through to the quarterfinals. So unfortunately Chesterfield were our pests this season. Fingers crossed we can find a way if we go up to League One to get a few wins over them next season, but we'll see if that is the case. Certainly helped out there by that win we picked up first off today in today's episode over Salford City, but unfortunately no more Pizza Cup for us this season. Also, injury-wise, unfortunately, we have lost Lewis Jones to a flu for 12 days, but thankfully Chris Zay, he is fit and available for the second game in today's episode, which does come off the back of a job interview that we did have before we played that Chesterfield game, and it wasn't with an English club. It was with these fellas over here in Sweden, Djurgårdens. I'm not too sure if I've got the pronunciation of that right. Might need to learn that just in case we come back at the start of next week and have a new job. But these guys are supposed to be the second best team based on the season preview over there in Sweden. They've got a couple of quite good looking players in the likes there of Mulugeta as well as Klarting. That would be a pretty good job. Went to the interview. I'll probably put it on screen now while I make my way through talking about the club here. I'm not too sure if it went that well. For some reason, they think that we've applied for a lot of jobs since we've been at Buxton. I actually haven't applied for any jobs since I've been there, but these guys get some pretty regular continental football this season. They were in the Europa Conference League. This would be a pretty nice step up from Buxton, even though they are also a 2.5-star reputation club. So we'll see what happens there with that job interview we have had with Djurgårdens. Interesting to see we got one from outside of England going into the start of the new year. We also did ask them to fund a coaching course, because I did ask their K Beard to give us one here at Buxton. You'll see there as we try and make our way over to our profile, we can't do it currently because he turned us down trying to go for our Continental C license. Does now feel with the level we are at here with this Buxton team, most coaches in and around us are a lot more qualified. That might be the reason we haven't been getting all that many job interviews, I felt like, albeit now that might have changed with that Djurgårdens situation. So we'll see what does happen there. Obviously, if we get offered that job, it's going to be pretty hard to say no with some European football, even though it probably wouldn't be too difficult to turn them into the best team in Sweden. All we've got to do is get a bit better than Malmo and the other couple of teams that they do sit behind this season, but hopefully can try and press our case here with a good result as we take on Crewe Alexandra at home. Of course, this is the team that we took on not that long ago in terms of the series, and one of their players scored a hat-trick of headers in the first half, and we lost 3-0, so fingers crossed this time off the back of turning on that stop crosses instruction, we might be a bit better here inside of the box. But their recent form actually not too great. They did close the gap on Salford City with a win over Grimsby, but before then did get knocked out of the Pizza Cup by Wigan, and also did drop points to Fleetwood as well as Crawley Town. So a bit of mixed form for these guys coming in to this game, but they are high flying there in League 2. Let's see if we can try and get some revenge on these guys for that hat-trick of headers. That was oh so frustrating the last time that we did take these guys on, because that was seriously frustrating. Their player there, I think it was Costello, who did do us there in the air, especially on our right-hand side. Pinion, I think it was. So fingers crossed today that will not be an issue, albeit Pinion will start this game, as will Tyler Binden. Of course, he was out injured the last time that we took these guys on. He's back there on loan from Nottingham Forest, which is a concern because really, he should be way, way too good for League 2. He was easily in real life the best player in that qualifying final we had here with New Zealand against New Caledonia. So yeah, that's not ideal actually. This could be a big bad day at the office for us here, albeit I think Costello isn't playing, so maybe it won't be so bad with the big goal scorer from last time not being included in the squad for this game. But in terms of our squad for this one, Pinion and League are still there at fullback. Unfortunately, Sweeney is still working his way back to being able to play a full game. And also Midgley there in central midfield. But apart from that, it is our first choice 11 these days with Jed Gunner up for an early free kick there for Crewe Alexandra. But thankfully, they head that one wide, but an early warning sign there like we got in the previous game where we played these guys. They are quite good from dead ball situations, but now here just past the 15-minute mark, we go down the other end. Bit of a loose touch there, but thankfully Muir tracks back quite well to win that ball for us. Thankfully that pass, just enough on it there for League. He'll find Zay. It's a bit messy there inside the box, but Evans parries it back out to Giagana, who scores in back-to-back League 2 games for probably the first time since he's come here to Buxton. So thankfully, our initial first choice striker for this season is now finding some form. Absolutely mess there inside the box from the defence there of Crewe Alexandra. Bindon probably should do better there on Chris Zay. Thankfully, a bit underrated here in Football Manager compared to what he probably will be in FM26, because he is a blimmin' good player in real life, but thankfully not too good here in this universe, playing for Crewe Alexandra, and Zay gets the assist there. In fact, he doesn't. On the Ghana goal of Zay, we will now get him here to ease off tackles, but definitely had a big hand there, did our left winger, in that first goal that we have picked up. So fingers crossed he might be able to find a way to turn around that big defeat we suffered to these guys a couple of episodes ago, and that would be two really strong results we pick up in today's episode. But Chris Zay there on that yellow card going into the second half is going quite well, but probably a smart idea here to take him off. We've got Caden Kelly or Charlie Pavey that we can bring on. Let's just see who might be the better option when we don't need to make other subs. With only 15 minutes left, it looks like Caden Kelly a bit better there at left wing, but relatively happy with how we're doing. We're 1-0 up here over a team that we really struggled against the last time we played them, and so far not seeing too many highlights in their favour as well, especially from free kicks and corners and all that sort of stuff. So fingers crossed that continues in the second half. Looks like here on the front foot early. Unfortunately, the Crew do get a chance to clear that one away, but thankfully Adalusi given a ton of space there, get us back on the front foot. Midgley plays that for Degana, who surely will be offside. Apparently not, though. The assistant referee has not put his flag up. He makes it 2-0. He's on fire. He does a cartwheel. Degana finally finding some form for us here at Buxton. I'm not too sure how he stayed on side. In fact, to say that now, it's the left back. So thankfully, not Tyler that time. It's the other bloke there out wide in their defence. But Jed Gunner positions himself beautifully in the end of Midgley. Can see that run being made. The other three defenders try and set the offside trap, but just no good there from the left back. And we've got a cushion goal lead here. And these would be two massive wins in League 2, even though we did get knocked out of the Pizza Cup, which is a little bit of a bummer. But now only 25 minutes left in this game. We're looking really, really good to pick up some more points here in League 2. Now Ashton Muir drops down to a red hat. Let's take him off here. Not too sure who for. I guess Charlie Pavey. We've got no other options there at right wing on the bench for this one because Colville was on a heavy workload. So actually a couple of players that we usually play in that Sebastian Williams advanced playmaker role are out wide here for this game, but thankfully they're both versatile enough to do a job. And now Sebastian Williams does drop down to a red heart. So we'll see what we do here. I guess the sub is Hayden Lindley coming on for him. It might mean a bit of a shuffle up in terms of our defence. Lindley to balling midfielder, Dewuna the central midfield, and Ben Midgley to advanced playmaker. That might be the go here with the sub that we are going to be forced into. Still got a couple more that we could make with only 12 minutes left, but I think considering that this is a team we weren't expecting to beat, will save them up. It does look like, though, it might be the wing-backs who eventually drop down to those red hearts and also start to time waste here as we're about to make our way to the final 10 minutes. Dewuna drops down to a red heart, as does Midgley. Can't do much about that though with our sub options with a free kick here to Gunner. In fact, also Leak drops down to a red Huz. Caden Kelly looks to ice this one, unfortunately puts that one over the bar, but here with one of our final couple of subs, let's bring on Sweeney here at left back. And also, I think what we do, we're definitely not taking off Garner there, sitting on that hat trick. It's probably here Henry Curtis or Williams coming on at right back for Alfie Pinion. Let's try Curtis. I do think he might be a little bit more pacey, so probably the better option there for the last couple of minutes of this game. Also, we'll start to time waste just a little bit more to try and hold on here to this 2-goal lead. But this would be a big episode for us off the back of that poor run of form that we did have in December. And thankfully, it does look like that is going to be the case. We pick up a big 2-0 win there at home thanks to a G Gunner double, 1 goal in each half. Some good work from him, sitting right there on the shoulders of the defence, getting behind them and pick up both those goals. And thankfully, our defence in that game was pretty good. Didn't see too many chances from balls that were being put in there at the far post that they could put away through here. So thankfully, looks like that either our stop crosses instruction or the fact that they had no Costello did help us out. Tyler Binden has somehow lost against us, which is a little bit confusing because he's such a good player in real life. But 2 big ones for us there during the course of today's episode. We are still in 7th, but do now build a little bit of a gap on those teams who do sit below us, trying to chase us down that final spot inside of the promotion playoffs as we extend it out to 5 points. So a couple of really good results for us there in the league during the course of today's episode, being both the first and second team in League 2. Unfortunately, no rise up the table for us off the back of those results, but still a 5-point gap now over Northampton Town. We'll take that going in to our final still 17 or so games of the season. So to be fair, there is still a fair way to go, but those are 2 very good results. It does mean Salford get back out to a 9-point lead on top of the table, but we now got a little gap there and hopefully can make the most of that and try and make our way into those promotion playoffs come the end of the season, albeit not too sure if we're going to be a team that will do that well in those playoffs because we are a little bit hit and miss still, as you saw with that defeat we did suffer in the Pizza Cup, unfortunately, yet again to Chesterfield. And speaking of the playoffs and our time here at Buxton, it will be extended because unfortunately the Jure Gardens interview did not go well enough. We have not been selected to take over there and get some European football just yet. Kim Bartovala did get the job over us there, the former Banamo manager. Not too sure if he's that much better than us based on reputation, albeit as attributes to probably look a little bit better than what we've got here with Mr. Does FM at Buxton still, but that would have been quite a nice job to get there for our first move in the save. But for now, we do stay here at Buxton, and that will probably be it for the rest of the season as well, as we are in late January. So I can't imagine we'll make a move before the end of the English season. Now, hopefully we can guide this Buxton team to a playoff spot off the back of those 2 wins we did pick up in today's episode. But that will do it for this one. If you enjoyed it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Now, what we come back for at the start of next week, it probably depends how we get on in our next couple of games. If we can build that gap over the likes of Northampton, Hartlepool and Bristol, we might just be able to speed run our way through towards those playoffs and get through them as soon as possible. We do have, though, a couple of tricky games coming up, in particular Peterborough United, who are just above us, but of course they were the heavy pre-season favourites, and away from home that could be quite tough. But I'll try and make my way forward a little bit more off the back of that game at Crichton and Cheltenham. We should do okay in those ones, and to be fair, most of February not too difficult apart from Walsall away. So I might try and actually make my way through here a decent chunk of February, and we might come back maybe for a couple of tricky games there in Bristol and Crawley, because that looks like the next decent double header that we do have coming up for a little while, and hopefully can get some playoff football going on here next week in the save. But until the next time I see you, probably for that Bristol and Crawley double, seeing as no more Pizza Cup action here with this Buxton team. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.